Are you looking for a premium car which won't be too big or too flashy, and most of all, it won't be annoying? This is the new Audi Q3. The designers want you to think this is somehow extraordinary, but it absolutely isn't. In a good way, which is a welcome change for a VW Group product. Let's see what it's all about. This episode is brought to you by 3W Liners. Keep your car interior clean with perfectly fitting OEM compliant mats, which are also eco-friendly and odorless. I have a set of 3W liners in my car and enjoy how winter, mud and grit stays on them and how easy they are to clean. They come with OEM mounts or adapters and everything stays in place. Get a set of 3W liners for your car, check out the link in the video description and use my code to get a discount. The Audi Q3 turns 15 this year. Launched in mid-2011, this compact crossover is more or less a premium Tiguan. The Q3 competes with the BMW X1, Mercedes-Benz GLA and the Volvo XC40, among others. The current generations of the latter two are on their last legs, so the third generation Q3's newest potential rival is, for example, the Mini Countryman. Cars grow from generation to generation, and the Audi Q3 is no exception. It now measures 453 centimeters in length, up by 5 centimeters from the second generation and by 14 centimeters from the first. The width, height and wheelbase haven't changed much, so the difference is mainly in the overhangs. The Q3 has also gained additional kilograms from generation to generation, around 50 kilograms each time. Audi won't be pleased to hear me say that, but the Q3 looks generic. To be honest, before I picked the car up, I was convinced this was the second generation rather than the third. It's from behind the wheel that you start seeing some changes. The headline is what Audi is calling the steering wheel control unit. Instead of ordinary stalks, we now have this bar behind the steering wheel, and at the end of the bar are integrated moving elements. They are at your fingertips when you're holding the steering wheel at 2:45. On the right is the gear selector, and on the left are the turn signals, high beams and the wipers. There's a separate cruise control joystick a bit lower. At first, this bar control unit thing looks a bit awkward, but after 15 minutes behind the wheel, it feels absolutely normal. Perhaps the wiper speed dial is a bit light, so don't use it as your fidget toy. Other than this somewhat unusual setup, which sounds like a way to fill about 45 seconds of the review, the rest of the cockpit looks and feels absolutely normal, and that's great news! Running across 3/4 of the dashboard is a panel with two displays, 11.9 inch in front of the driver and 12.8 inch in the center. Buttons on the steering wheel are sort of touch, piano, black, although they are somewhat clicky. Audi will come around someday. Below the central display are the air conditioning vents and physical buttons that have been in every Audi for years. These include drive mode, ESP, start-stop, hazard lights, parking sensors and assistance systems. Below is a wireless charger that actually works. I mention this as if it were something unusual because in recent BMWs I always have to bring a USB cable. Next is the start button and a physical volume knob. They've been in the same place in every Audi for years, maybe with the exception of the TT, but that had a strange cockpit. There are cup holders, a storage compartment under the armrest. The armrest height is adjustable. There's also a spacious glove box and large door pockets. The cockpit is finished in pleasant-to-touch materials. Yes, it's all recycled, but Audi doesn't boast about this recycling business in its press release too much, at least. Nor does it feel like it came out of a dumpster. Okay, I'd like the steering wheel to be wrapped in leather. I mean, it can be faux leather, but I would like it to be leather. Fortunately, there is such an option in the configurator. And how is the Q3 to drive? Well, that's why you're here. Let's find out. For the press fleet, Audi has ordered the fastest model in the lineup, the 2-liter Quattro with a mild hybrid powertrain, producing 265 horsepower. I deliberately said fastest rather than most powerful, because the lineup also includes a 272 horsepower plug-in hybrid, which is significantly heavier and therefore slower in the 0 to 100 km/h sprint. Audi promises the 265 horsepower Q3 sprints from 0 to 100 km/h in 5.7 seconds. I got 5.6 seconds in sport mode with launch control and 6 seconds in normal mode. It's not slow. Like in the T-Roc, which I reviewed recently, also in the Q3, the VW group must have opened the emissions tap, and Audi goes like the clappers. You don't need to change drive modes anytime you want to overtake. And while we're comparing VW group products, the Cupra Formentor can be had with the same 265 horsepower engine. The Cupra is smaller and lighter, but in order to preserve the hierarchy within the group, Auto Emoción has been turned down a notch, and the Q3 is quicker. The Q3 also got new suspension, which, depending on the options, can be passive or adaptive. This is the adaptive variant. There is also adaptive steering, which makes the Q3 so agile, I had to check if it doesn't have rear-wheel steering. No, it doesn't, but the adaptive steering is very precise and makes the car turn tighter with very little input. Compared to this Q3, the SQ5 I drove last year felt like an elephant. Now, the suspension does feel on the harsh side, and the 20-inch wheels don't help the ride comfort. I received the test car on winter tires. I'm recording this in mid-March, so there is still a chance of frost early in the morning, but during the day the tire noise is obtrusive. Winter rubber also affects fuel economy. Audi optimistically claims this car should use around 9 liters per 100 kilometers combined. I haven't seen a figure this low, even in extra urban cycle. 11-12 liters combined is more realistic. The manufacturer also boasts the Q3 is the first compact Audi in which you can order acoustic front side glazing. This car is equipped with acoustic side windows, and I suggest you don't skip this option because on the motorway I can still hear quite a lot of wind noise. The new Audi Q3 can tow up to 2,100 kilograms. The weight rating for the hitch is 90 kilograms. You can choose a 150 horsepower diesel or a 150 horsepower petrol engine, both front-wheel drive. For Quattro all-wheel drive, you have to step up to 204 horsepower or 265 horsepower petrol engines. The Sportback variant of the Q3 also gets a more powerful diesel variant with a Quattro drivetrain. And while we're on the subject of all-wheel drive, let's do my diagonal approach test. I stop halfway this incline with wheels on the diagonal with limited traction, and then I try to get going again. I tried normal mode with ESP off, and off-road plus mode, which automatically disables or limits ESP. During the first 2 attempts, it's clearly visible from the outside. The car isn't trying to brake the wheels with limited traction, and the power seems to escape through them, instead of being transferred to wheels which have traction. In off-road plus mode, the front wheel is braked for a split second, making it easier for the car to climb the incline. From the inside, regardless of the mode, I felt the car is slipping like it was on snow, and there's no point trying to add gas delicately in hope that the system will figure out the situation. It's strange because BMW's products on the front-based UKL platform coped better here. Driver aids work in the background, they're unobtrusive. I didn't get any false positives unexpectedly, like in the Tiguan. Adaptive cruise control with lane keeping assist works well. The car doesn't keep beeping at me to focus on the road all the time. You can also store a parking location, like for example your driveway, which we've seen in VW models over the last couple of years. The car also remembers the last 50 meters of low-speed maneuvers, so it can reverse along its own tracks. Matrix headlights with 25,600 micro LEDs light the road well and avoid oncoming traffic. They can also project directions and information on the road. I have good legroom in the back behind the driver's seat set to my driving position. I'm 175 centimeters tall. Headroom is average. There is a high tunnel running through the middle. There are air vents and controls for the third zone climate control and 2 USB-C ports. The rear seats slide. Now the seat splits 60-40 while the backrest splits 20-40. The backrest angle is adjustable. There are cup holders in the armrest and the door pockets accommodate my water bottle. Isofix anchor points are on the rear side seats as well as on the front passenger seat. According to the specification, the boot volume is 488 liters. I measured it, and taking into account the spare wheel well, it's a realistic result, assuming the car doesn't have the optional subwoofer. However, slide the rear seats forward and you get well over 500 liters of boot space. The boot dimensions are 100 centimeters width, around 50 centimeters from the lowered false floor to the parcel shelf, and around 90 centimeters by the floor to the rear seat backrests. Slide the rear seats forward and you get extra 13 centimeters or so. The parcel shelf barely fits under the false floor. There are shopping bag hooks. The boot can be closed with gesture, the remote control, or a button on the tailgate. There's also a separate button to close the tailgate and lock the car. Price of the new Audi Q3 start at €44,600. This test car with options costs, sit down and put away any liquids, €74,455. But then you realize it's not even €1,500 more than a similarly spec'd BMW X1 M35i xDrive, and all of a sudden it doesn't sound so bad, does it? Even if the BMW is more powerful and offers better performance. In recent years, the VW Group cars were nothing like they used to, and that's not a compliment. Fortunately, the group bosses noticed they went too far, and the 2025 financial results reflect that. But first the new T-Roc and now the new Q3 give hope that we're back on track to when cars were designed with the customer and with the driver in mind, not simply to look good in slideshows for the management. And how do you like the new Audi Q3? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like my sarcastic, down-to-earth and possibly mildly amusing car reviews, join me every Friday at 3 p.m. Central European Time, and don't forget to subscribe and like this video as it helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.